We're doing stuff for big Fortune 500 companies, Walmart, UPS, Coca-Cola, other players in addition to that. And it's just, we have a lot going on. The industry is really expanding. And I think we're getting a lot of positive reception for the services that we provide.
You're listening to the Drone Radio Show podcast, the show about drones and the people who use them for business, fun, and research. Hosted by Randy Goers.
Hello, everyone. This is Randy Goers, and welcome to the Drone Radio Show podcast, episode 316. Are big commercial entities ready for drone delivery? If you ask today's guest, he would say, yes, they are. Anthony Vittone is Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of DroneUp. DroneUp provides end-to-end aerial data collection services for large autonomous missions, leveraging their patented Mission Match platform. DroneUp matches missions with small unmanned aerial system pilots. They locate, qualify, and deploy single pilot or multi-pilot crews according to their clients' requirements. The company is committed to providing a comprehensive network of pilots while maintaining a steadfast commitment to safety and responsible operations. Recently, the company completed a series of drone delivery flights for Walmart and Coca-Cola, in what may be the start of drone delivery adoption by major retailers. In addition to being Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer, Anthony is also an accomplished lawyer and business executive. At DroneUp, he oversees business operations and finance, legal, human resources, and contract fulfillment. He has extensive experience in working with and developing businesses in a variety of disciplines. In this episode of the Drone Radio Show, Anthony gives us some insights and an update on DroneUp's efforts in drone delivery. But before we hear from Anthony, I want to thank those of you who are supporting my funding campaign. Whether it's $1, $100, or much more, you can help defray the cost of production and keep the podcast going and growing. Go to DroneRadioShow.com/donate. So let's learn about DroneUp's efforts in the drone delivery market with Anthony Vittone. Let's pick up the interview where I asked Anthony to introduce himself.
Yeah, this is Anthony Vittone. I'm Chief Operating Officer of DroneUp.
Anthony, I know people have heard of DroneUp, but can you give us a description of what the company does?
We're a drone service provider, and essentially what we've done is networked about 10,000 pilots, Part 107 pilots across the United States. We've developed an app that keeps track of the pilots, and we keep track of their 107s in there, what equipment they have, what experience they have, where they're located. And then when we get different jobs across the United States, we can deploy them to those pilots and get them some work.
What makes DroneUp stand out from other companies that provide a similar service?
We have a terrific pilot ops team that does a really good job of working with our pilots, working with the clients, and then also working with the pilots to get those missions completed. We take pride very much in treating our pilots well and making sure that, that they're clear understanding of the job, that they're paid a fair wage, that they're paid on time, and that, we don't nickel and dime them. We try very hard to work with them and make sure they're happy.
So it's been about a year, I think, maybe a little bit longer, since I last interviewed someone from DroneUp. What's happened during that time?
It's been an exciting year, huh? I mean, I think across the drone industry, it's been an exciting year. So we've had a lot of really fun and interesting and really, I think, productive developments. Our entire Walmart operation that you might have seen, where we delivered COVID test kits to residences around 3 different Walmarts in 3 different cities across the United States. One was in North Las Vegas, one in just outside of Buffalo, New York, and then one in El Paso, Texas. So that was a terrific program where Walmart and us teamed up together with Quest to deliver these test kits to folks in those neighboring communities so that they could do the testing that they wanted to do.
Was it a demonstration of drone delivery of pharmaceutical supplies? Or was it a demonstration of how well you would work with Walmart?
Yeah, I think it was an exploration on several different fronts. One was just the ability to help out in the community and help out during the pandemic, but it's also to allow both us and Walmart to start exploring how this residential delivery could start to happen and what would need to be replaced. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about drone delivery, I think over the last few years, but to some extent, you got to get out there and just start doing some of it in order so you understand what it takes to make it happen. And I think that's the process that we began with the delivery of those COVID test kits for Walmart. And it expanded from there. They then connected us with Coca-Cola. And we did a project for Coca-Cola was launching a new product called Coke with Coffee. And they were wanting to launch that by having their product delivered to the residents of Coffee, Georgia. I didn't even know there was a Coffee, Georgia, but there it is. So it was a marketing program for them to launch this new product. But same sort of thing. It was like delivering product to customers and how that could work. So I think both of those were very exciting projects for us. But we've been doing all kinds of stuff. We've done a whole bunch of projects for UPS this year. And then we did a very big project in the fall of last year for NATO, which was also exciting.
What was that project about?
So NATO was starting to essentially start exploring how they use drones to resupply troops in the field. The soldier needs more ammo, needs more water, needs medical supplies, whatever they may need. How does that happen? And if soldier A needs water and soldier B needs ammo, how do we make sure that the right pilot gets what they're asking for? So we did a whole exercise down in Southern Virginia to simulate for them. And we had a whole bunch of folks from the NATO organization down there to sort of watch how we could use GPS devices and drones to resupply troops in the field.
It wasn't a live fire exercise, was it?
It wasn't live fire. I mean, there was simulated. I mean, they were essentially shooting blanks and stuff. And so part of what we did was get back out to them that sort of fake ammo. But as part of the exercise, I mean, I think the next phase will be using more troops and more complexity, and then also eventually adding live fire into it.
What have been some of the lessons learned from the demonstration projects?
Good question. Yeah. So the problem when you start a lot of these projects and you're one of the first to do them, the learnings are enormous. We learned all kinds of things about which drones, the limitations of a drone, of the different drones that maybe we utilized in each of the different operations, not just in terms of distance, but line of sight and what exercises the pilots needed to go through to make sure that they could safely operate the device. I mean, there were all kinds of lessons learned, even just in terms of the operations and what types of materials and what types of supplies we needed to have on hand, how much battery power the manufacturer may say how long the battery lasts, but how long does it actually last? And then how does the package interact with that and affect that? And how many new charges can you get out of it? For the COVID test kit deliveries, we were delivering a lot of deliveries to a lot of different customers. And so we were charging and then recharging those batteries. And just like any batteries that are rechargeable, they eventually start to lose their effectiveness. So it's all kinds of different things from the operation standpoint to the flight standpoint to the pilot standpoint to the client standpoint that were terrific learnings all along the way.
In the Walmart examples, what were the flight paths based on? Did you go over streets, over cars, over people?
Yeah, no, it did go over streets and it went over buildings. I mean, essentially it was, even though we have a flight over people and flight over moving vehicles waiver, we didn't utilize it for those operations at that time. But we avoided all of that. We essentially crossed streets at a crosswalk. We were just up in the air. So we would actually use the traffic signals to make sure we didn't cross over cars and to make sure we didn't cross over moving traffic. I mean, we were basically like a pedestrian that's waiting at the crosswalk. We were a drone waiting at the crosswalk for the traffic to clear. We did use those same sort of techniques to avoid flight over people at the time. So it was actually really, really interesting. And then we maximized the use of buildings and empty lots to the extent we could. We used routes that would go over a whole series of different homes in order to get to the home that we were eventually dropping the package off at.
Were the flight paths predetermined or pre-programmed?
Yeah, we had a flight software program that we developed that would chart the initial path, basically maximize as many buildings as it could. And the pilot always had the ability to sort of deviate that if they needed to, but then the software would take it the best route for that, and then they could exercise judgment from there if they needed to adjust.
How did you handle the final phase, the customer fulfillment part, where they actually get the package?
So we would take the drone to essentially hover over usually the client's sidewalk in front of their house, might have been their driveway, might have been their front yard or something to that effect. We also had visual observers at the end as well that would help guide it. And then the cameras from the drone obviously would be utilized to also help guide it. And then they would essentially drop the package on the sidewalk or driveway or front yard of the customer. And usually at that point, the visual observer, just to make it nicer for them, would maybe take it and throw it up on their front porch. But
what kind of distances were involved in the demonstrations?
We stayed under a mile for each of the different, the Coke deliveries were even less, but the ones for the Walmart centers were less than a mile.
Moving away from drone delivery for a second, what were some of the other projects DroneUp was involved in this year?
There's the rest of our sort of regular drone services business. I shouldn't say regular, but just it's the rest of our drone services business. We do a tremendous amount of infrastructure inspections for folks for different like REITs and environmental firms. And then we do a tremendous number of residential roof inspections each year that we do in connection with a partner that services various insurance companies.
How do you think COVID-19 affected company decisions in the industry?
What I believe happened for COVID for a lot of different verticals in the industry is that it forced companies that had been sort of thinking about using drones, it forced them to go ahead and say, yeah, we have no other choice but to jump into this. And we had a number of companies that came to us and basically said, we used to put people on planes or used to have our folks go and look at these things in person, but we can't do that anymore, at least right now. So do you have drones that could go do this for us? And it was the perfect sort of kick in the butt to get them to get these different industries to take a look at this and start incorporating drones into their workplace.
And I would think that it helped direct business to local operators, since many companies couldn't travel.
I think the beauty of our business model is that it really reduces the travel for lots of different companies and for our clients. And we had a client the other day we were working with on a project, and he was like, well, how are you going to do this each time? Are you going to fly the pilot in each time? And we're like, no, our pilot is right there in your hometown where you're building this project. You have to just walk down the street and do it. They were sort of amazed at how that could all work. And I think it's a really good advancement for the industry as a whole.
What are some of the key trends that will drive the industry forward?
Industry adoption, it's kind of like we've just been talking about as a result of COVID and other things. I think industry adoption has definitely accelerated in the last year. I think that's just going to help everybody. I think it's a really important thing. Different verticals are in different places in terms of where they're at in adopting and in exploring using drones and using the technology. But I think that's a huge thing that is happening. The other question that we get, and the other trend, we'll have to see how it all plays out, is the whole concept of drones and where they're being made and whether or not, some verticals I think are starting to explore going the way of sort of like some of the federal government agencies have done of not utilizing foreign-made drones. So, I think that's definitely a trend that we're going to have to keep a watch on, and everybody's going to have to keep a watch on in terms of being able to service clients.
But hopefully that creates an opportunity for American companies to step forward and develop a competitive product.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think it opens up competition from a number of different levels and for different players to sort of get into it.
In general, what type of experience level do DroneUp pilots start with?
Folks have different levels, and we certainly welcome the opportunity for even beginning pilots to join our network, because we believe we can help them and help them get the experience and train them to get, more of the better jobs and the higher paying jobs. But, so it starts out, and we have a whole badging system in connection with our platform that helps us to develop those pilots and educate them and move them along and advance them to different levels. So, there's jobs that, even an entry-level pilot can do as long as they have their 107. And then there's more advanced ones that you're going to have a little bit more experience to do. For example, a residential photo shoot versus a cell tower inspection. Those are going to be different levels of experience. And we're going to make sure that you know how to fly before you go near that cell tower. But there's definitely opportunities to get that experience with us.
Are there opportunities for someone to learn or acquire specific skills through DroneUp?
Yeah, for a good number of our clients, we have a training program specifically for their projects because we do so many of them for them on a routine basis that we need pilots that know how to do that secret sauce program every time. And so we work with them to train them on how to do that. I think it's pretty exciting and fun for the pilots that take advantage of those opportunities because they do get new experience that maybe they didn't have before. We're doing a program right now for this residential roof inspection program that's also involving a Skydio drone. So, these folks are now getting, where they might have been only using DJI drones before, now they get experience to try out and to work with a Skydio drone. So I think that's, exciting for them and exciting for us to see how it goes.
I have to say that there isn't a week that goes by that I don't receive a major partnership or a project announcement that DroneUp is involved in. You guys are really busy.
We talked about it at the beginning. We're doing stuff for big Fortune 500 companies, Walmart, UPS, Coca-Cola, other players in addition to that. And it's just, we have a lot going on. The industry is really expanding. And I think we're getting a lot of positive reception for the services that we provide. I manage the pilot ops team in addition to the other operational functions. And I probably get an email in a week, some sort of notification in a week from a client, very appreciative of what we've done and, thanking us and thanking us for our service.
How long have you been with DroneUp?
So I've been here 3 years. I was like employee 2 or 3 with the company. So I've been here a while.
How has the company evolved during that time?
Our client base has obviously grown. The size of our clients have grown and what their needs are. The operations of the business as a whole has grown. We're, like I said, I was employee number 2 or 3, and we're over 30 employees now. Everything is, obviously the revenue has grown, and the whole launch of our company, into exploring and working with partners on drone delivery is evolved. Before we were doing other services, but drone delivery wasn't really on our radar probably until about a year ago. Now it's obviously very much on our radar.
What's on the horizon for DroneUp?
Not to be a repeat player, but obviously drone delivery is definitely on the horizon, and expanding those opportunities and those operations. I think we'll have, further developments in that. I think we're going to continue to expand into other sort of service verticals in terms of the infrastructure and the insurance inspections, and we're doing quite a bit of stuff in the construction field. I think we're going to continue to grow as a company. We have a lot of staff openings right now. I anticipate having a lot more. I think we'll be operating in a couple of different cities, so I think that will obviously continue to expand the company. And I also wouldn't be surprised to see us start expanding into other countries in terms of having dedicated operations in those countries ongoing basis.
And for my final question, Anthony, what message would you like to leave regarding the future of the drone industry?
To the future of the drone industry, I think other drone companies in particular, and to the pilots out there as well, there's a lot of business to be had out there. I think this industry is really just getting started. And I think there's a lot of business out there to be had that, I think we can all grow the pie together. And I look forward to DroneUp playing a part in expanding this industry into as many different verticals as we can.
That's it for episode 316 of the Drone Radio Show. I hope you enjoyed hearing from Anthony Vittone of DroneUp. I want to thank Anthony for taking the time to speak with me. If you want to learn more about DroneUp or want to connect with Anthony, check out the website at droneup.com. If you like the Drone Radio Show, please consider supporting the podcast with a small donation. The content is always free, but for as little as $1, you can help defray the cost of production. To donate, go to droneradioshow.com/donate. And thanks for listening. Your support means a lot to me, and I hope you'll listen to more episodes of the Drone Radio Show podcast to hear how others are using drones for business, fun, and research. For the Drone Radio Show, I'm Randy Gores.
This has been the Drone Radio Show podcast. More information on today's show can be found on our website at www.droneradioshow.com. If you're using drone technology for business, fun, or research and would like to share your experience on the show, please visit our website and fill out a guest appearance application. And don't forget to follow us on your favorite social media channels.